Hello, this is KiwaniTalk. My name's Ray Scaboria. I'll be your host for this evening's program. KiwaniTalk is a public information program brought to you from the facilities, well, actually sometimes from Dearborn High, but right now we're in the Dearborn Administration Center. Tonight we are very pleased to have as our guest President Russell Kavalhuna, the president of Henry Ford College. Russ, I'm going to call you Russ.
Please do.
It's great to have you on the show.
Thanks, Ray.
I know you've been here, 8 months now? 7, 8 months?
It seems like it's been 8 months, but I actually came here in July, so we're just coming up on 5 months.
Okay, so you're still being surprised by things that you hadn't found out yet.
I'm still getting the lay of the land.
But it's great to have you here, and as we were talking about before the show, Dearborn's very pleased with Henry Ford, and you must have felt that in your interaction with people around the city since you've come on the job.
You know, that's true. I interviewed for this job about a year ago, and I did a scouting report on this community because I wanted to find an educational institution that cared about its community college like I thought was necessary to have a community college flourish. And so I had dinner in Dearborn. I walked around the campus several times. I interacted with students and staff, asked them, what do you think about this college? What do you think about this community? And I'll tell you, from day one until even this morning, what I have found is this is a community that truly values public education. And as an education administrator, you're not going to get any better than that value set. So as I gain the lay of the land, what I keep finding is that we have a history here in Dearborn. When I say we, I moved to Dearborn. My family attends the public school system here, and I'm proud to be an administrator here. It's part of our culture to protect and support education as a method to grow our society forward. It's part of my family's history, and now I'm proud that it's part of my hometown.
Well, Russ, before we go on a little further, let's introduce the community a little better to you and your background, where you went to school, where you grew up, and what you did before you came to Dearborn.
Sure. I'm the son of an immigrant. My dad was a poor kid who immigrated from Brazil and attended community colleges as a method to grow out of poverty into a middle-class socioeconomic status. And he was a public school teacher with my mother in Battle Creek, Michigan. And I attended Western Michigan University, and I wanted to be a pilot. And they have a fantastic flight program, and I was an airline pilot for about 6 years with an airline that is no longer in existence. It was called U.S. Airways, and I was with the Express division. At 9/11 had a traumatic effect on the airline industry, and I was laid off after that event. And so I went back to law school, and after law school, I worked for a judge on the Michigan Supreme Court, and then I was a federal prosecutor in Grand Rapids. I loved that job. It was public service, but it was a hard job on what I wanted to do was raise a family. And so I transitioned into education after that because I felt like that was a place that my public service and my drive for that had a better return on the investment to move and lift up people through education. So my last stop was Western Michigan University, where I actually trained to be a pilot. I was the executive director of flight operations there, and I began looking for institutions that wanted to find the connection between a college student and a meaningful career. And it's clear that the place where that is now in higher education is community colleges. And I thought, and I've now confirmed, that the real place for that is in Dearborn at Henry Ford College. So I'm sorry that's a long story,
that's
several turns, Ray, but that's the nutshell.
It's really interesting because, a little diverse background often does you a lot of good in the long run. And the thing about community colleges is that originally the idea was you could go to them for a couple of years, and a lot of people took programs that ended at that point, and then some people went on to a 4-year school, but But Henry Ford's actually gone beyond that. They have a number of curriculums now where you can get the equivalent of a 4-year college education, and of course those are some of the. I know the medical field is one. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yes.
As far as Henry Ford's concerned?
Yes. You know, community colleges are one of the most nimble animals in the higher education space, and we're proud of that. We really do believe that our mission is to be an educational institution of access, meaning we try to reduce any barriers that a student might have, whether they be geographic or financial or socioeconomic status, and not having the history of a family promoting education. And one of the misnomers is that we produce only associate degrees. We do have a program that offers a 4-year degree, and that's culinary arts. We do have a majority of our students that come to us do transfer to 4-year institutions seeking a bachelor's degree, but we also have a host of programs that train individuals for meaningful careers after either 1 or 2 years of education on our campus. And there are high demand jobs now in those sectors. Some of the sectors are health, like you mentioned, healthcare. Some of them are the skilled trades and building trades. And some of them are information technology or cybersecurity jobs. And we do take it seriously that our job as an educational institution is to give value by delivering meaningful liberal arts education to give a person the opportunity to be a meaningful and returning society member, but also a career. Parents ask now, what is the salary that my child will gain if they attend your institution? That's meaningful and important to them. But then we also really do believe that if you give a good educational product, you can both give access to a career and also the idea of what it means to be a successful member of our society.
Yeah, you have one of the things you have at your campus is a restaurant run by the students in the culinary arts department.
That's
I
right.
assume. And we've been there for meals several times.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it was always a pleasant experience.
Good. My wife and I and my kids, we eat there once a month, or more, but at least once a month.
Okay. Now, what is the, maybe I don't want to put you on the spot, that is open, what kind of hours approximately, do you know?
Yes, in the evenings, I believe it's Wednesday and Thursday evenings, okay. 6 p.m. into the middle evening. Okay. And then lunch, I believe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's called 5101, and that's because that's our address on Evergreen, okay. There in Dearborn. So that is run by our students in our culinary department. So everyone who greets you, seats you, and feeds you, and the people making the food that you eat are all students at Henry Ford College. And the food is good, the price is reasonable, and you're literally donating to the college and the community by doing that.
Yeah, and please tip generously.
Yes, that's true.
That's true. Have tuition bills to pay.
And you know what? While you're there, Ray, watch a show. We have a great fine arts building where we put on all manner of productions, or come and see some of our musical productions.
We've been to a few of those.
Or just take a walk around the campus. We keep it clean. We keep it nice. It's like a public park, and if you're interested in doing the River Walk Trail right behind us, we want to be a place where the community feels, from top to bottom, from infants to seniors, you're welcome there. We want you to be part of the community. And if you want to take a class, that's great. If you want to just say hello to me and ask about our programs, that's great too.
Well, I have to have a little diversion here. We live on just on the west side of Outer Drive on Heinz Drive. And I get on my bike. I haven't done this real recently, but I get on my bike. I ride up Outer to Edward Heinz Drive,
yep.
all the way down Edward Heinz Drive, under the bridge,
yep.
cross the road, and come through the woods.
Yep.
And over the
wooden
river,
bridge.
and then up at the top and around your parking lot.
Yes.
And then come back through the U of M campus. At one time, the whole parking lot was done, and they had to put this tremendous drainage system. You might not
yep.
be aware of this.
Oh, I've seen the culverts that exist now.
Oh, well, under there's a tremendous structural thing that allows it to be have a lot of room for water under
Yes.
there when you get heavy rains, and then I guess it drains off at a lower rate somehow. I don't know how. I doubt if it's pumped out.
I don't think it's pumped, but I do think it is an environmentally engineered process such that the rainwater doesn't degrade the bluff there that goes down into the river.
And that has to be a pretty expensive parking lot to put in. I watched them do that.
Yeah, it is. But that route you ride is the route that I jog. So you and I have probably crossed our paths.
Okay. Well, you have to be careful. There was a little construction there right at the corner where you come up and turn onto the you make a right when I'm coming that way. You make a right, and you had to go around it. You had to be careful there. Make sure you ring your bell, because somebody might be
There's
coming
a blind
the other
corner
way.
there where that construction is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still there.
Okay. So now you really started in July. You moved your family about the same time.
That's right.
You get moved, and what do you see? We had an experience together because I'm in the Kiwanis Club, and the Kiwanis Club has a couple little scholarships, and you had the luncheon to honor scholarship recipients. So I kind of went to that luncheon, and it was nice to see all of the scholarship recipients that came out to interact with their
It was a great event.
scholarship presenters. And you took a picture of yourself with all of the scholarship recipients, or a picture was taken.
Yeah.
And that's quite a picture. It shows the diversity of our community. You really see that in that picture.
That's completely true.
And it's nice to see all that diverse community having this opportunity to get a higher level education at about the most economical rates I've heard of anywhere around.
Especially for those students who are residents of Dearborn.
Yeah.
You are not going to beat the quality and price.
Yeah. What is the Dearborn resident tuition now?
It's about $100 a credit.
Okay.
And just for ballpark, the typical associate's degree is about 60 credits. So imagine that you can knock out 2 years of college if you're on your way to a 4-year degree, or knock out an associate's degree for $6,000, and that's assuming you're not getting any financial aid. Financial aid is significant. So, and I'll tell you, most of our students who transfer to 4-year institutions, we hear back that they are the most successful in the junior and senior year because of the education we provide them. And that's compared to the students who went to those 4-year institutions for their first 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I know that I've heard that a significant percentage of the junior class at U of M Dearborn are transfers from Henry Ford. And I don't know the exact number, but it's a significant portion.
It is. And the new chancellor there is a good man we've met, and we have a strong relationship. And I encourage many of our students who are thinking about the 4-year transfer to look at U of M Dearborn. Yeah. If I could, Ray, I'll just say thank you for your generosity. When you were at that event, you and your club and you personally both devoted your treasure to our institution. We take that seriously, and we're proud of the public support that you gave us and that the voters gave us in the millage that passed last month. We take that seriously, and we're proud of it.
Well, I can't speak for other residents, but I don't think my wife and I have ever voted against a Henry Ford millage, And of course, we've been taxpayers. At one point, I think we were paying taxes on maybe 5 different properties in Dearborn, and but that didn't bother me. I felt that was a great value in the community.
That means a lot to me, and it means a lot to the staff.
Actually, I think the Henry Ford does a lot for real estate values in the city also.
Well, we commissioned a study that proved just that the economic impact from our institution was massive, both in jobs and in the businesses that derive from people who come to Henry Ford College.
Yeah. Russ, we have to take a little short break for a Kiwanis commercial. I shouldn't say commercial, just a little bit about Kiwanis.
Sure.
So we're going to take that break now, and we'll come back right afterwards. Please join us right after this with President Russ Kavalhuna, President of Henry Ford College.
Is a kid fearless? Nervous? Playful? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Hello, I'm Ray Scaboria, and we're here with President Russ Kavalhuna, the president of Henry Ford College. And Russ, we were talking in the first half about a little bit about your coming to Dearborn and getting kind of accustomed to the community, learning the directions around town. Yes. We had a little fun beforehand because we had a little mix-up on the location of our taping today. But what are some things, we talked about the price of tuition here for residents of Dearborn, but you have many residents, well, the majority of the students are not from Dearborn, they're from surrounding communities. What is the tuition to people from surrounding communities?
It's about $174 a credit hour, and that is a significant premium on top of those residents who attend that are living in Dearborn. Of course, the main reason for that is that those students who reside in Dearborn are in some manner paying property taxes, sure, which we derive, and of course we ask the citizens of this community to allow us to continue one of the parts of our millage. We were very pleased and frankly heartened by the idea that 70% of the vote said that we were worth the investment. Yeah. But those students who come to us from beyond our district, and our district is pretty small, it's actually the same district as the Dearborn Public Schools. Yeah. Most community colleges have a county or a large part of a county. We are a history that dates back 80 years, where we were Dearborn Junior College. In one of the high schools here. And we've been Dearborn's community college for 80 years now, which means to survive, we need to be good enough academically to attract students from outside of Dearborn who are willing to pay that premium to get the level of education that we provide. And we're proud of that.
It's still a pretty competitive tuition.
It is. It's competitive, but I'll tell you, we have students who come to us and literally drive past other community colleges to get to Henry Ford College. Some of them actually use public transportation to get past other community colleges to come to us, and we're proud of that. And those students see value in that premium that they pay because we do take it seriously to help them gain the skills to get meaningful employment.
Also, you have a program for, and I don't know if this is limited to Dearborn secondary school students, but I know there's a program where you can get your associate degree in 5 years as a high school student. And how is that set up? And is there tuition involved in that, or is that provided by the school district?
The family whose child is in Dearborn Public Schools that attends Henry Ford College during their high school time does not pay tuition to attend Henry Ford College. And there are several avenues that student could gain access to Henry Ford College. And the answer is yes. It is completely normal for a student who is engaged and has the aptitude to finish high school with an associate's degree. Yeah. And think about that investment. Ray, I don't know if you sent kids to college, but I'm thinking about it.
I did. I sent 2 to college. And I paid the bill.
Okay, well, I'll tell you.
There were some scholarships, but still, it was a pretty good bill, even after the scholarships.
Well, I'll tell you, if there's any of your listeners who are thinking about that now and whose children attend Dearborn Public Schools, think about having them do dual enrollment or early college, because those are college courses taught on Henry Ford College campus that count towards an associate's degree. Yeah. So you can have your son or daughter graduate from high school with 2 years of college already knocked out.
Yeah.
And the state funding for that student's high school education pays Henry Ford College for that college education.
And obviously, this is for good students that are serious about school and see the value of it. It's not for every student. Some students need to take their 4 years in high school and then think about college. But there's a percentage of the students that this is a great potential program for them.
Yeah, and I'd even tell you, right, the commitment part is sincere. You do have to be committed to a college curriculum if you want to do that. But your student doesn't have to be an extraordinarily well-performing student to get in and take advantage of that. In fact, some of the students, and it's a lottery for the early college, some of the students have not been performing extraordinarily well in high school, but they have the opportunity to perform in college, and they'll get all of the wraparound services in counseling and academic advising that any other college student on our campus would receive. So we do believe that we can be an option for a student who might otherwise not have the greatest options at high school, that they can still engage us at Henry Ford College. And I'll tell you, Dearborn Public Schools and their leader through Dr. Maleko, their superintendent, he and I have crafted a partnership that really believes that. We are two institutions in the same town working for the same goal.
Say a student does that, most students are 18 graduating from high school, then 19 you have 2 years of college under your belt already.
That's right.
And it's also quite a maturing thing.
Yes.
Because there's a little more demand that you have to develop your studying habits and so on a little more than you would in high school, and it's some students in high school. In fact, this bothers me about high school. Some students get to their senior year and they say, "I've taken all my requirements, so I'm just going to take I don't know. I don't want to name any courses because I don't want to offend anybody. But the thing is, they look at it as sort of an easy year, and that's kind of a shame, because there's a lot of courses you're going to get. If you do go to college, you're going to get them your freshman year, and sometimes you get zip courses in college that you get no credit towards your graduation for, but you have to pass them before you can go on to.
That's right.
English is a good example,
That's right.
Yeah. So, do you have any feeling for the number of students that are taking advantage of that program as high school students?
Yeah, I track that quite closely because it is something that I think Dr. Maleko and I are working on to grow. But it's healthy now, and that is something. It's a nice. I can't take any credit for that. That program predates me, but I'm committed to keep it going. Dearborn Public School students taking college courses at Henry Ford College is over 1,400 students now.
That's.
And we're not limited to Dearborn Public Schools. If you take all the other schools around us who also want to take advantage of that, we're at almost 2,000 high school students gaining access to a really, in my opinion, a world-class community college education here in Dearborn.
Now those students, if they're not Dearborn residents, do they have any admission requirement, tuition requirement, or?
They do, but there again, the money that the state pays that high school district gets turned around and paid towards Henry Ford College. So,
I see.
So while they pay a higher rate because they're out-of-district students to me, they're still having that funded by the state tax dollars moving toward the public school district. So I'll tell you, it's important as an education administrator to try to do what we call, right, to leverage public resources. We get funding from the state, we get funding from the federal government. You want to give an opportunity to gain as much of that to come in, and allowing public schools and high schools to gain access to community college does that at an extraordinarily efficient rate, which is why we're so invested in it.
Well, we're down to about 3 or 4 minutes from the end of our allotted time here. And now, this may be a little unfair to ask you at this point, but do you have some thoughts or some ideas that you'd like to see maybe developed at Henry Ford down the road? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, because you seem to be pretty well up on things, but yeah, it's kind of unfair to say that. But Do you see some areas that you'd like to see Henry Ford expand into or increase services?
I don't have any great news for you today.
No,
However, I will tell you, my first 6 months on this job, I dedicated to doing a listening tour, and that was to listen to members of the community, stakeholders outside of the institution, but who cared about and supported us, and then of course our students and our staff. And what I've learned through those 6 months is that one place where we can grow is to grow dual enrollment or early college, like we just talked about. Another opportunity where we can grow is to be the place where individuals can come at any age, whether it's right out of high school or retraining after a first career, at any age, to meet the demand for the skills gap that we see right now. Most people agree that in the next 6 years, 800,000 jobs will go unmet, and the average job will be $60,000 a year. Now, the community colleges are being asked to meet those jobs as plumbers and bricklayers and cybersecurity officials and individuals in the healthcare systems. We should be the one where employers want to send their next generation of employees to get trained. And so I'm actively engaging employers in those spheres because I think we have the skills to train those types of workers. And then finally, a high percentage of our students still do want to transfer to a four-year degree. And of course, any good administrator should be moving to gain relationships with those four-year institutions such that every single credit that the individual takes at my institution has a transfer to the four-year institutions that the majority, frankly, of my students want to move on to. The last thing I'll say to you, and I know this is important to you because you've answered the call, and that is we don't get the funding that we did from the state. For the last 10 years, we've had either flat or almost declines in funding. So I'm oftentimes going to the community, finding philanthropic entities that are willing to invest in the public good that we're producing, and I'll be spending a lot of time doing that.
Okay. Russ, we're down to our last minute. One thing we didn't mention, I know there is a program for retirees in case they want to go back to school, and that's a very good deal for Dearborn residents. Is that not correct?
That is correct, and it's only for Dearborn residents, yes. Because the Dearborn residents are the ones that so generously pay the taxes, like me. And that is that there are no tuition for the courses they take. Now, some courses do involve a fee, so I can't say it's just walk in any time.
Okay.
But I will tell you, we have over 150 programs, wide variety of coursework, and I invite anybody who is interested and wants to take advantage of that because our senior citizens do, and I encourage them to get invested in our college.
Yeah. Russ, I'm sorry we're out of time. It's been great to have you here on KiwaniTalk. It's really good to get to know you, and I hope the community gets a chance to watch our show and join us on KiwaniTalk again soon. We're pleased to have Russ Kavalhuna, the president of Henry Ford, here with us tonight.